Here's a story about roasting children. Hey everybody, my name's Gatsby, and I used to be a teacher. I promise no children were harmed in the making of this story, but I can't promise that they didn't deserve it. First of all, if you're considering becoming a teacher, don't. At least in the United States, there's so much pressure on principals and administrators to keep grades high and discipline low that eventually most of them just pass everyone and turn a blind eye to any behavioral concerns, which makes it impossible for teachers to retain any kind of authority in the classroom. That said, if you're an idiot, like I was, and become a teacher despite the warnings, like I did, you'll need to brush up on your psychological warfare. And don't start giving me shit. Try teaching a middle school reading intervention course for more than a week before ripping your hair out. We'll see if you're still Mother Teresa then. Turns out governing a closed society of hormonal animals requires consequences for misbehavior. Normally those consequences are handed down by a principal or a parent, but when both go Sergeant Schultz on you, you'll need to take matters in your own hands. Humiliation is an important tool for socialization, and I propose it can be used effectively and ethically when the source of the humiliation is the student's own disruptive behavior. Here's an example. During my student internship, I had to facilitate a class for failing students where they were supposed to complete lessons for credit recovery. I forget the name of the software they used, so let's say it was Compass. The teacher before me had negotiated an imbalanced truce with these little pirates by allowing them to play video games when they were finished with their Compass lessons for the day. Problem was that this allowed students to play games whenever they wanted, as long as they simply lied and said that they were done. Consequences were impossible to enforce because I had no leverage. They knew that even if they didn't do a single lesson, the school was too chicken to retain them out of fear of being scrutinized for their failure rate. So I made a plan. Now, I grew up with Halo. These kids grew up with COD and Fortnite. So imagine my surprise when their game of choice is Halo CE. Turns out the PC demo has largely unrestricted multiplayer, so when they were supposed to be doing their Compass lessons, these kids were having deathmatch LAN parties in plain sight. So I found a quiet corner of the room, installed Halo CE, and joined their private server under the name Endless, something they hadn't heard me use. And I listened from across the room as they pondered, who is this Endless F-slur? Let's kick him. No, let's kill him. We're gonna smear this F-slur. We're gonna beat his ass. Spoiler alert, this F-slur roasted them alive. See, it turns out there's a significant knowledge gap between kids who play Halo in credit recovery and us kids who grew up playing it as a child. I understood the maps, the power weapon locations, and the general chess dynamic of the game, and they didn't. So what they'd surely expected to be a hateful hide-and-seek turned quickly into something more akin to the most dangerous game. And I listened gleefully as they cried and complained that surely Endless must be hacking, cheating, something, all the while unawares that the call was coming from inside the house. Then, just after I broke them, but before terminating the session, I said in the chat, and that's why you should have been doing your Compass lessons.